Today we're going to be looking at Google Forms. Google Forms is a really easy way to construct surveys, questionnaires, and other things where you need feedback from a group of people. To do this, you're going to need a Google account, which is either a personal Google account or, even better, a Google Apps account for your organization. So if your school doesn't yet have Google Apps, I'd strongly suggest that it's worth looking at for you. Okay, I want to go to a browser. My browser of choice is Chrome, so let's load Chrome. And once I'm logged into Google, I'm going to need to navigate to my Drive. What I need to do now is to open up a new document, and in the new look Drive, which is becoming the standard look from now on, you'll see that Forms isn't listed, but there is an option to view more, and Forms for me is at the top of that list. So I'm going to open a new Google form. Now this is the editing environment that allows you to construct your form. When you're in the edit view, it's a pretty plain, unadorned view of the form, but your form, when it goes out to people, can look very different. So one thing we can look at straight away is in the toolbar up here we can see Change Theme Outs, and in any of these you can then customize this, so it becomes possible to change all of the graphical components. If your school has a strong brand image, then it's a good idea to use that consistently on all of the material that's published internally and externally. And let's start building our questions up. First of all though, as with all Google Docs, what I want to do is give this thing a name so that we don't have 1,000 things called untitled form in our Drive. So I'm going to call this Parental Satisfaction Survey, and now I can start to construct my questions. One thing you might do now or at any time in the future is decide whether you're going to check any of these boxes. If you're doing this in a Google Apps for Education domain, you can require people to be logged in before they can see the form, so it stays inside your organization. You can automatically collect their usernames so people don't have to identify themselves. It can happen automatically. If you're not in a Google Apps domain, then you'll just see these three options: show the progress bar, only allow one response per person, and shuffle the order of the questions, which can be useful if you want to avoid people simply letting others know what the right answers are if it's that kind of quiz, survey, questionnaire or something. So now let's start by constructing our questions. And the first question I want to put in is, how are we doing as a school? And I'll offer a little help text. Choose the score you think is best. This is going to be a scale question. It's going to be one of those where it goes from 1 to some number. I'll leave it at the default 5, but you could change it to any other scale up to 10. And 1, I'll put terrible. And 5, I'll do excellent. And that can be a required question, and we're done. Now I'm going to add another question. So I'm adding an item. This time I'm going to add a multiple choice question, and I'll say, what time should school start? Pick the time that you think is best. Multiple choice this time, so let's start with 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You see I can either tab twice to open a new option, or I can click on Add Other. So now let's do 11 o'clock. Again, a required question. We'll say done. And maybe that's completed now. You get the idea. If I now want to see my live form, remember we chose a theme earlier, and now I can see how my form is going to look when it goes onto the web and people fill it in. That, however, is just one of 3 different ways that you can distribute this. Firstly, you can click on the Send Form button and send the form out via email. This grey box here allows us to put in 1 name, 3 names, 300 names, or a group, which is a distribution list, and send the form out to all those people. So you might have a group called Parents at, or Year 9 at, or whatever you like. Put that email address in there. I'll just use another of my email addresses. And you see there's an option here to include the form in the email. If we do that, and then send it to that list of people, in this case just 1 of course, then when we go to that email inbox, I just need to switch users here. Let's go to... You'll see that it appears in the inbox, and when the viewer opens that email, then the stripped down version of the form appears in the email itself, but the link to the form also appears. So we can click on that and see the form. So they can either complete it in the email, there's a submit button, or they can go to the link on the web. The third option is that you can quite easily embed this in a Google site, but that can be a lesson for another day. Now, you might want to work on the form with other people in constructing it and getting the questions right. And normally in documents and other aspects of Google Apps, there is a chance to share up here, but this blue button in Forms is used to send the finished form out to people to complete. If we want to open this up so that other people can work on it with us, it's a slightly different approach this time. We need to go to File and Add Collaborators, which will allow us now to open the form up so that other people can edit it with us. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to creating a form, and next we're going to have a look at what happens once the form goes out.